we knew he was an owner-operator of F&B, and he knew that the margins would wafer thin. You get 25% of your cost of goods generally. If you say labor's 30% and rental's 30%, you're already getting very close to 90%. You're like 85% cost of goods, right? 85% costs, and then marketing costs, branding costs, everything else, ancillary costs, capex, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, your business margin is wafer thin.
Yeah, like all F&B, right? Yeah.
So if your labor starts spiking, your margin is just disappearing. And so many people are going bust. Coming out of the pandemic, rentals went up.
Yeah.
So then you're being attacked from both fronts. You've got people who are doing menial tasks. They're not professional culinary experts, but they're just wrapping burritos, or they're scooping into bowls, and they're saying, I want to earn X, Y, Z. And previously, they didn't have the option of being a Grab driver and saying, I'll pick my hours today, or being a programmer, or going and getting a skills future and learning how to build a website and then doing that for a living and saying, actually, tomorrow I can work from home because I'm my own boss all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And previously, pre-pandemic, there was an influx of foreign labor that now doesn't exist. So he saw this. He said, look, the only way for a lot of the F&B to survive is to automate, which is very challenging. If your margin is already wafer thin, how do you reinvest into automation? Yeah. So we were doing it differently. We were investing in the automation from scratch. And it was a 3-year labor of love. And
wait, when you say investing in automation from scratch, meaning you build your own pattern?
No, so basically we started an automation company. Whereas the challenge for a lot of other F&B companies,
they start a food company.
They're already running a restaurant, and then where do you find the money to invest into automating a system? You're struggling to survive as it is. It costs money, right? So we sat down and developed a concept. And then we went out to the market and said, would you utilize this? We spoke to restaurateurs, we spoke to hoteliers, we spoke to mall owners, we spoke to office blocks, and they all said a unified yes.
Wow.
And we hired some engineers and developed a concept, raised some funds, and then 3 years later, we have our fully automated fresh food kiosk. It's fully refrigerated between 1 and 5 degrees, because that way that bacteria cannot duplicate. So
yes.
Danger zone is between 5 and 60 degrees. So if you leave food out past an hour in room temperature, bacteria starts to multiply.
5 to 60
is a danger zone.
Danger zone.
And
no wonder, right? I saw your LinkedIn, right? You are like Hit Refresh Private Limited first. And then I'm like, okay, robotics company, but how is this like, something, are you going to like build AI robots or whatever?
So we developed the technology ourselves, and then freshpod is the F&B arm that takes it to market. So the very first machine is in Science Park, and you can put 20 individual ingredients inside, and then you order through a point of sale system, and the bowl moves around and collects the individual ingredients. You've tried it yourself.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing that we can do, because we don't have the on-the-ground labor costs, is we can reinvest that money into the price of the food to bring it down for the consumer. So we have a higher cost of goods because we swallow the cost so that the consumer doesn't have to.
Yeah.
If you go to a regular restaurant, depending on where they are, you might be paying $20+ per dish because you're actually paying a portion of their rental. You're paying for the staff that are doing it. You're paying for the full package, right? You're not paying for the raw goods. So with us, we swallow a lot of it. So what might cost $20 odd, $22 in the CBD, we can develop for $10, $12.
Damn.
Retail. And it's not, we don't see ourselves as direct competition to anyone else. We are just trying to create a service for landlords, such as where we are now, where you can put in a kiosk that's like 2 meter by 2 meter in a lobby, and it can basically cater for everyone in that building, versus if you wanted to put a restaurant into a building, you'd have to smash through a wall, you'd have to put in exhaust pipes, you'd have to build a kitchen, you know what I mean? So we are basically distributed dining. We're the equivalency of putting a small restaurant into every building, but it's just we just need 2 meter, 2 meter and a plug socket. That's that.
I love it. It's like you are trying to sell your product, which is robotics and automation. But then the thing is, like, you demonstrate it by setting up your own successful restaurant. And then when other people, like, I don't know, like daily cuts or whatever, and they see that, hey, actually I can earn much more by, developing like robotics, then they buy from you guys, something like that.
We're not, at this current moment, we're not designing for other people, but I mean, we would love to create solutions that keep people in business. So it's not even the fact of, can I make more money? It's a case, and we've been very open about this. Our dream is that we can create solutions for people who need it the most. So you look at hawker center, right? Chicken rice. So you could have a vessel that someone types in, and then it dispenses some rice, it dispenses some chicken, it pours on the sauce, it dispenses some soup, and it's provided. Rather, because these are the ones that are hardest to fill the staff of, and I speak to them a lot.
Yeah.
Who wants to go and whack on an apron and work in a boiling hot hooker? But there's some amazing food you talked about, right? Some of the best food without doubt, the best food in Southeast Asia comes from hawker centers, right? The best food comes from these small holes in the wall. But not just Singapore, Malaysia, look at Philippines, look at Thailand, look at where you can get incredible food. But these are going to be tougher and tougher to retain because it's not a glamorous job.
Yeah.
And a new generation of people want to have nice title, good salary, luxury of working from home. You can't run a hawker and work from home. It's a physical impossibility.
Now you can. We've hit refresh.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Great advert.
Yeah, because I've shifted rental house like 3 times. And I always see this one particular phenomenon. No matter what hawker center I go, the carrot cake rice is always an uncle with the towel on the neck, right? He will be cashiering, then he will be cooking, and he'll be packing.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, that's your hit refresh.
One hand
solution.
clap.
Yeah. One leg kick,
One leg kick.
Yeah.
It's not just us, man. I think if you look internationally, this is the way that the world will go because it's the best way for F&B to survive. I think the world has changed, as you said, coming out of the pandemic. There's a lot of behavioral differences that didn't exist before. I mean, the sheer concept, the running joke, and I love sharing memes with my friends, but there was one great meme that is, when you're growing up, your parents say, don't get into cars with strangers. But now you order a Grab, you literally get into a car with a stranger, right? So, but there's no way back from that. I came here in a Grab, I will go home in a Grab. And so the world will change. In 10 years' time, my friend, you will go, and this is my belief, in 10 years' time, you will go to majority of your catering experiences in the 7-day week, and they will all be automated kitchens. Because there is no way that it cannot go in that direction. I'd say in the next 10 years or so, we will be carted around in self-driving cars. And in 20 years, our parents' generation or even our generation will be cared for by humanoid robots. And I think this is inevitable because where humans don't want to step in, there is a need. There is a need for sustenance, food. It must be affordable, otherwise people go bust. And it's scary. The recent statistics from the Singapore government is that for every restaurant that opens, one closes. And it's never been like that. There's always been more opening than closing, and now it's just as bad. And from what I understand, and please don't quote me because I'd have to double check, but the average lifespan is well below a year. So people open up. Imagine you pile your cash, you take a loan, you pile in all your effort, your love, you get your loved ones to come and help you out. And then 1 year later, you're like, that didn't work.